Rolling right along. Game day on TSN 1260. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get involved. You can text us at 10-1260. Email us in our Jiffy Lube inbox, jgregor, TSN1260.ca. Get to the racing report now, brought to you by CanTorque. They want to prove that they're made in Edmonton. Torque tools can outperform any other brand. Go to CanTorque.com to arrange a demo. And if you choose to upgrade, they will take your existing tools on a trade-in, even if they're not working. CanTorque.com as Colin Livingston joins us once again. And Colin, lots of news in F1. Now, if you look way down the road, Ford's going to return to F1 powering Red Bull in 2026. Now, that's a long ways away here, but how much of an impact, if any, do you think that's going to be? And how big a news is this?
I think it's pretty big. I mean, obviously, Honda has been, by Red Bull's side since Red Bull left Renault, a bunch of years ago. They've now won, 2 constructors titles, 2 drivers titles the last couple of years. They put together one of the most convincing seasons, in the history of F1 last year for domination. So, I would suggest that the deal that the Red Bull worked with Ford has far more to do with financial benefit than performance. Obviously time's going to tell whether it's going to be a good deal or bad, but I'd be really, really surprised if Honda's going to put their full weight of development and their full, technical knowledge behind the operation now, because they know that IP, that intellectual property, is going to go somewhere else in 2 to 3 years. So I don't know how Honda's going to handle it. I'm not sure how Red Bull's got the deal structured. It'll be really interesting to see what kind of ripples and what kind of backlash that there might be.
It sounds like the day-to-day operations are going to be handed off from the current FIA president to a new CEO, Natalie Robin. Do you expect there to be immediate change, or is it going to be or adjustments, or kind of steady as she goes?
Well, we've talked a little bit over the last couple of weeks about the current FIA president, some of his, for lack of a better term, confrontational comments about, trying to temper expectations about a potential sale of Formula One, kind of out of his jurisdiction, stating that a $20 billion, price tag, which was being reported, is probably inflated. The behind the scenes stuff says that the plan was always for the president to build up an executive so that he could move away from day-to-day roles and not be the direct contact with F1. So yeah, there's going to be two representatives. There's going to be Nikolai and Natalie that are going to be the point people with Formula One. Based on the he's only been in the position here a little over, call it a year and a half, 2 years. There's been a lot of things that ruffled a lot of feathers. So, maybe he isn't the best point guy. But it'll sure be interesting to see how the new spokespeople or the new executives deal with Formula One, because, simply put, these are some of the biggest companies in the world that are operating under Formula One, with some of the most well-known car manufacturers. Obviously Red Bull is one of the largest beverage companies. These are not people who like to get pushed around, and they don't like being told what to do. So yeah, once he moves more into the background, hopefully the waters calm a little bit, and they can start moving forward again.
Colin Livingston joins us in the Racing Report, brought to you by CanTorque. It was finally official that TSN is going to be the broadcaster of IndyCar coming up in 2023. There was some talk. A few drivers suggested they want to hold a race at Thermal where they had their open IndyCar testing, but that's not really practical, is it?
No, I mean, from all accounts, I can't say I've ever been there, but the reports I've read said that at best they might be able to accommodate 4,000 to 5,000 people, which obviously is not what an IndyCar level race would dictate. The venue itself, really is designed as a lapping track. It's for, private citizens to take performance cars, even up to race cars out and just run laps. They don't really race there. But for an IndyCar test, it's perfect. It's a high degradation surface. The teams had to, really watch what they were doing with their tires. Lots of flowing corners, lots of tight corners, lots of high speed stuff. But yeah, definitely not suitable for a race. Although what they're talking about is maybe doing some kind of exhibition there where they could have smaller car groups, and, just kind of have like a non-points paying event there, just, to see what happens. But yeah, I don't expect, aside from maybe the series going back there for more testing next year, I don't think it's really practical to try and hold an event.
Racing with Colin Livingston from the CanTorque Racing Report, or on the CanTorque Racing Report. Let's switch over to NASCAR, and Kyle Busch wasn't too pleased after this Sunday's clash.
No, he was not. Using the term, describing the event as a total disaster, and stating, when they asked a follow-up question as to why he thought that there was absolutely no respect from any other driver, and like every driver was showing disrespect to every driver. I watched a podcast with Denny Hamlin after the event, and his comment was, it was so chaotic that you, like, as a driver, he said, you didn't know who actually caused the contact. He went after someone who got into the back of him, and the guy said, it wasn't me. I got hit by the guy behind me. So you couldn't even get out of your car and figure out who to be pissed off at. But this is the kind of stuff that I just, that drives me crazy about NASCAR. And I don't want to keep, dumping on them, but for me, I'm a fan of racing. I love racing. I love, when drivers can, find a mechanical advantage, find a setup advantage, find a talent advantage, push past that boundary, push a little bit deeper into a corner, control a car that wants to go out of control. I love every element of that. Cars driving into each other is not racing. It's smash up derby. It's to me, it's not entertaining, but I guess it can be a form of entertainment to watch a bunch of destruction. And NASCAR knows that this stuff is going to happen. Everybody knows this stuff is going to happen. And yet they keep creating this. And not only do they create it, but this clash race that keeps happening in Los Angeles is not held on a racetrack. It's held in the LA County Coliseum. They spend millions of dollars constructing a racetrack over a number of weeks for 2 days worth of on-track stuff. And again, to me, it doesn't showcase a single feature of NASCAR other than it gets sponsors exposure in a big market like LA. But I mean, surely they can put these cars in a different venue that already exists and actually show, a form of racing. Like this is right up there with the old restrictor plate tracks of like Talladega and Daytona, where that there's going to be half the field doesn't make it to the end. That potentially there's going to be drivers hurt. Like Ryan Newman was almost killed a couple of years ago because of an incident at these tracks, because they're relatively high speed. The cars are racing within inches of each other. The entire pack is, up to 30 plus cars within 2 seconds of each other. Like, the formula is terrible. NASCAR knows that, this is what's going on, but they refuse to change it. They don't want to see racing. They want to make it as easy for people to watch with as high entertainment or quote unquote entertainment content as possible. I just, it really, to use a lack of a better term, it just disgusts me, because these are human beings that are in the cars. Now, yes, they know what they're signing up for. Yes, when you get into a race car, you can get hurt, you can get killed. but you also need to have a bit of faith in the sanctioning body that they're going to create a situation that is unlikely to happen. These are all things where we know that it is going to happen, and somebody eventually is going to get hurt in these things. You know, not to mention the fact that these teams spent hundreds of thousands of dollars basically per race building these race cars that in a moment get turned into shrapnel. So yeah, I don't know. It bugs me so much that this is what they deem as acceptable.
Colin, we got to run to the pregame show, but next week I want to get into a recap of what happened out in Florida for the Winter Trophy events with all the karting. I want to get a rundown of that, so that'll be good because we don't have any official races next week, so we'll touch on that as well. Appreciate your time.
Sounds good, boys. Thanks a lot.
Colin Livingston in the Racing Report, brought to you by CanTorque.